Talking Shirts is presented in partnership with White Oak Cottage. For more information, visit whiteoakcottage.co.uk.
Welcome. This is episode number 151 of Talking Shirts. I'm Mike of Hull KR Shirts, and today we're going to take a look at this 2020-2021 Hull KR third shirt. Now, this shirt here was the last shirt that Hull KR had that spanned over 2 seasons. It was originally released in 2020, but due to the COVID pandemic, the club actually carried it over into the 2021 season too. Supporters didn't have the opportunity to wear this to a game in 2020 due to the fact that it was released during that COVID pandemic. And obviously, whilst we weren't able to attend games, the club thought it was right to kind of extend its lifespan over into 2021 as well, which saw us wear this twice in that year. It was worn once by the first team. They played Hull FC in a Hull derby in St Helens. Bit of a weird one, really. But anyway, it is what it is. The COVID pandemic brought all sorts of crazy situations that we weren't ever sort of aware to be possible to our attention. So maybe a Hull derby in St Helens isn't the strangest thing that happened. However, we did get to wear this twice in 2021 as well. Coincidentally, both of those games came against the Leigh Centurions. One of those was at Craven Park, and the other one was at the Magic Weekend at St James's Park. The shirt itself, it's an all grey affair with plenty of purple detailing. For me, it's a design that I absolutely adore. I think if you're going to do a charity third shirt, I think this is the sort of thing that you want to look to produce. I've got so many positive things to say, the odd negative, but mostly positive about this kit. And for me, it is an absolute stunner. I love the colour combination, the light subtleness of the grey, and then the deep, in-your-face elements of the purple. For me, is a really, really good combination. The main design feature of this, though, is these lines and the squiggles that go all the way throughout the shirt. The Mind Swiggle, which you can catch as part of their logo, is a very prominent, dominant element of their design aesthetic, and they have used that to continue over onto this design of the shirt. Now, I've spoken about it on previous episodes of Talking Shirts, and for me, it is an absolutely brilliant design. The way that they've used that squiggle to kind of manufacture that into a robin, for me, it's just brilliant. It's such a creative way to be able to display something that is synonymous with Hull KR in a way that connects it to the Hull and East Yorkshire Mind charity. More about this shirt, we have got the sponsors on the front. All of those have been dye sublimated in. We've got IRS that features in its natural colourway in red and black. We've got Hull College Group and Harrison Solway. Again, Harrison Solway actually had their branding in a very sort of neutral colour to their brand. They have for many years now allowed us to be able to manipulate the colours of their logo to best suit to a Hull KR shirt. And in this one here, you can see that it's almost in their natural colourway, and for me, it's almost a little bit of a thank you to them as well for all of the times that they've allowed their branding to feature in a slightly more distorted colour than what they would be used to having their things displayed in. The Hull Kingston Rovers Club crest, as it features there, this was the final year in 2021 where we actually had the 06 to 21 club crest, as I often refer to it as. That features in red. I think I would have been tempted to maybe go purple with it, to be honest, to make it sort of blend in a little bit more, but maybe that was allowing for IRS to feature it in red and black as well, because those are the slightly sort of standout elements, shall we say, that feature across the front of the shirt. Down at the bottom there, we have got the Mind logo, as I mentioned, and around that we have got the robins in the squiggles there, which I think, again, as I mentioned, is an absolutely wonderful touch. We've got dueling Betfred Super League competition patches on here, and there is a reason for that. So underneath here, we have got a iconic sponsor, Heat Applied patch. There were some contractual issues with those guys. If you've watched any of my episodes where we've covered shirts from 2021, you'll know that I have spoken about this in the past. Contractual elements where I don't think bills was paid, and that meant that branding was covered up or removed. In this instance, it was easier to cover up than it was to remove. So for the game against Leigh at Craven Park, we did have these purple Heat Applied patches to the sleeve, but for the Magic Weekend game against Leigh, we did then have the dueling competition patches where that saw us have a competition patch on both sleeves, so that's what we've got here. There is elements here where this one is peeling quite a lot. The patches, they stick really well to the fabric of a jersey, but they don't necessarily stick well to another heat applied patch, which is why this one here is peeling. Quite a few of these have just completely fallen off, but I'm trying to keep this one intact because my other one has fallen off, so I'm quite content with keeping that on there. And then just above that we've got RSV. They sponsored the club for quite a few years during this period of time. That has been dye sublimated in white onto the purple sleeve there. As I use my contraption to turn this bad boy around. On this side we've got the Easy Buy branding again. That has been dye sublimated in white onto the purple. And then underneath we have got another competition patch. So this is where you would expect naturally to see that competition patch on that right sleeve. There is some elements of marking going on around it as well, and it is also starting to peel slightly, but that's okay. That obviously just comes as a sign of match wear really, but yeah, we're quite content with how that one is behaving. So that's been the front and the sides. We're just going to have a quick word from our sponsor, and then we'll talk about the back of the shirt and the man that wore it, Ryan Hall.
White Oak Cottage is a 2-bedroom luxury holiday cottage set in the stunning Lincolnshire Wolds. It has 2 ensuite bedrooms, a hot tub, wood burner, Wi-Fi, electric vehicle charger, and is pet friendly. It is ideally situated in the Wolds, yet only 15 miles from the coast and 25 miles from the historic city of Lincoln. For more information, visit whiteoakcottage.co.uk.
Welcome back to episode number 151 of Talking Shirts. Before the break, we was talking our way around this 2020-2021 Hull KR Charity Mind third shirt. Bit of a mouthful there. I sometimes break it up a little bit, but hey ho, I got it all out in one go there. So excelente. On the back of the shirt here, we've got more of the design elements that we spoke about on the front. We've got the lines into the squiggle, into the mind squiggle, which then forms part of that robin, which for me is just absolutely brilliant. I can't talk enough about how impressed I am with that. I think there's a lot of unique elements that have gone into the design of Hull KR shirts over sort of the past 10 years, but for me, this is probably in like my top 3 favourite elements. I loved on the 2024 home shirt, I loved the dye sublimated Robin icons in the sleeves. That for me was a really, really nice touch, and this is probably up there with that. We had the taping on the 2023 home shirt as well with the Robin icon in. Again, another really, really good addition. What else am I thinking of? 2017 we had the crowns underneath the armpit in the side panel. That was absolutely amazing. And yeah, I think those would probably compile my top 4. Oh, if I have to knock one out, oof. Not fun. I enjoy all of those design elements. But anyway, back to this one that we're talking about now. So yeah, on the back of here, they continue, but you can notice that they do actually break up a little bit where these squiggles just kind of abruptly end. And that's to form the name and number block, which we've spoken about on many episodes of Talking Shirts, where there is that space that's kept free so that the name and the number isn't obstructed by any design elements of the shirt, most notably for the referee, but also for the Sky TV cameras and also for the paying spectators in the crowd as well. It's very important that they have the best sort of visibility in terms of being able to read things on the back of a shirt. We have got this Mind heat applied patch under there. There is a sponsor, which was NEC. They sponsored the club in 2020, but not in 2021. So when it came to this shirt being renewed for a second season, they made the decision to cover that branding up because that sponsorship was no longer a competitive contract for 2021, which meant that this Mind heat applied patch was the route that was taken in terms of applying something that was sort of added more value, shall we say, over a contract which had been paid for and not renewed. And then underneath that we have got the Compass Academy. At the bottom we've got Higher Base. That features in red, which is their natural colourway, and this is probably my biggest sticking point with the shirt. When I've done previous episodes talking about this shirt, that is the one element where I kind of always come back to. If that was in purple, I just think the shirt is probably, you know, it just elevates it ever so slightly. Everything else features in either purple or white, and or grey, obviously. But I just think that would probably be a nice touch if that was in purple. But yeah, let's not focus on that too much. Now on the back of here we have got Hall, squad number 5. We've got Ryan's signature between the name and the number on the back of here. So Ryan Hall, he joined the club in 2021. He returned across from what many would consider a failed stint in Australia. Luck, injuries, opportunities just didn't necessarily fall his way. He was probably going to go and join Toronto. And obviously we all know what happened there, and that left the door open for a return to England and an opportunity at Hull KR with his former coach Tony Smith. Ryan would go on to make 106 appearances for Hull KR in the 4 seasons that he was with the club, and in that time he scored 62 tries, in a point where he actually reached the summit of being the Super League's top try scorer, where he's still there. He's being chased down now. Josh Charnley is very firmly chasing him down. Ryan's playing on for 2026. We will likely line up against Ryan Hall in Las Vegas at the end of February. And you've kind of got to think that this guy just feels like he could probably keep playing on forever. Obviously, he's contracted to the end of 26, but he's already talking about playing on in 2027 as well. He made an appearance in a Challenge Cup final for Hull KR in 2023, and he also made an appearance in a grand final in 2024. Sadly, he came on the losing side on both of those occasions, and he did leave the club at the end of 2024 before the club would go on to reach and win that historic treble in 2025. And you've kind of got to feel for Ryan a little bit, really, because he was one of a many few players that missed out on those trophies, but he helped steady the ship. He helped build the confidence and grow the ability of the players around him to be in a position that he left the club in a much, much better position than when he found it. Tom Davies joined the club for 2025. He went over to the right wing, which moved Joe Burgess into his natural position on the left wing. And as the saying goes, the rest is history. Ryan Hall is a great guy. He will be a Robin forever, as we know. But he's a Rhino at heart, and you cannot blame him for wanting to go back to his boyhood club, where you can only imagine that when he eventually finishes playing in probably 2045, there'll probably be an off-field role waiting in the wings for him as well. And I don't think anybody would begrudge him that. So yeah, that's everything. Episode number 151 of Talking Shirts. I was trying to resist the temptation to bring up another Super League club doing a Hull and East Yorkshire Mine charity shirt, but I think I will just have a little bit of a word about that, and I might even put a picture up. Oh, I don't know if I'm going to get in trouble. I'm going to put a picture up. So Hull FC did a Mine charity shirt in 2025, and whilst I think their shirt is amazing, I think it's very good aesthetically. I still prefer this one. I think this is the better of the two. However, I think they've done a cracking job. I just don't know if it was too soon for another club to go to that well and create a charity shirt when another club had already done it sort of 5 years prior. So yeah, that's kind of their moment. I've said my piece on it now. For me, it was a little bit too soon to go back to that well. From a kit perspective, from a Hull KR perspective, what you doing? That's ours. Leave it alone. But from a wider thing, the kit looks ace. It's great that you're supporting a local charity, and you know I'm sure that they really did appreciate that as well. Hull FC did auction off their shirts as well for charity. I know a few keen Hull FC shirt collectors who do watch these videos who were fortunate enough to be able to pick up a couple of shirts for their collections as well, which, you know, as a fellow collector really pleases me greatly. So yeah, I'm glad that he was able to get those lads. So this has been Ryan Hall's 2020-2021 Hull KR Mine charity third shirt, a shirt that I'm very pleased to have within my collection. Obviously, Ryan Hall is a great of the game, and he will go down as a bit of a legend in Hull KR parts as well. You know, like I say, his 4 years with the club was definitely something that many of us will remember. And you know, I'm privileged to say that we have 3 players at the top of the try scoring charts in the Super League, and all 3 of them scored tries for Hull KR in Ryan Hall, Danny Maguire, and Josh Charnley. Thank you very much for watching episode number 151. That's in the can now. I'll think about getting it edited and up onto social media and YouTube just in time for its deadline, as I always do on a Friday ahead of a weekend. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. Please check back in a fortnight. I'll be back with some brand new episodes. All the very best. Speak soon. Rugby League is back. Up the Robins.